Okay, so this is question 4. The table shows information about the composition of some chemical compounds. The information for the compound lithium nitrate has been completed for you. Complete the table. So here we've got the name of the compound. We've got a couple of missing gaps which we have to work out from the other information provided. We've got the positive ions or the cations listed here. At the back of the paper we've got a list of other cations, and then we've got the negative ions or the anions listed here, and again those are all listed at the back of the paper. And here we've got the formula which we need to work out where necessary using the information in these two columns here. So if we work our way down, this compound contains potassium and oxygen. Okay, or more accurately, if we look at the table of ions at the back, the oxygen actually becomes oxide. Okay, so when it's in a compound, oxygen becomes oxide, which is the case for pretty much all of these, apart from a couple which become 8. Okay, so if we've got potassium and oxide, then it's reasonable to assume that this is potassium oxide. And then if we need to work out the formula, it would be wise probably to use a triangle. So we'll do a little one at the bottom here. We can see from the question that the ion, the potassium ion, is K plus, and the oxide ion is O2 minus. So we'll be needing 2 of these to balance one of those. So we'll write that as K plus. Now, the difficulty that many people had was transferring this into a formula. So the formula tells you how many of each element are present with a little subscript number. So the number 2, because there are 2 potassiums, must go down here. Okay, so it's K2O. This question here is asking about iron 2 chloride. So to fill this gap in, we need to refer to the table of ions and find the iron 2 ion. So that is down on this column. So iron 2 is Fe2 plus. Okay, so it's Fe2 plus. And it is important that you put the charges in the right place, which is always a subscript, whereas the number of atoms in a formula is always a, that's a superscript rather, and this is always a subscript. Okay, so for this one, we can probably work it out without the triangle. If we've got an Fe2 plus and a Cl minus, we'll need 2 of these to balance that one. And when we write that as a formula, we write Fe, and we don't write the charges because we've made sure that they all cancel out Cl2, because we need 2 chlorides to balance or cancel out the Fe2 plus. Okay. For this one now, calcium fluoride, if we take some time to look at the back of the table, we will find that the symbol for calcium is Ca2 plus, and the symbol for fluoride is F minus, okay, which makes sense because we need 2 fluorides to cancel out 1 calcium, okay. Right, this one, a bit more difficult, or slightly more difficult, Na2CO3. So it'd be wise to look at the table at the back and find out what CO3 is. And it's going to be the negative ion because it's not the metal, it's not the first one, and we're told here that sodium is positive. So it's going to be here somewhere. And so CO3 2 minus looks very similar, just is missing the 2 minus, and that's the carbonate ion. So CO3 2 minus, and again it's important you know where to put these numbers. So the 3 means 3 oxygens and the 2 minus means the whole thing has got a negative charge. And we saw previously that this ion here is called the carbonate ion. Okay, so consequently this is sodium carbonate. Okay, so the next part of this question, potassium nitrate reacts with aluminium hydroxide to produce aluminium nitrate and potassium hydroxide. So this is basically the anions and the cations swap over. It's a displacement reaction. Balance the symbol equation for the reaction. Okay, so the key to this, to balance this, we could go through the whole process, but if you all look over here, you'll notice there are 3 nitrates, NO3s, and the only place that those can have come from is here, okay, from the potassium nitrate. So if there are 3 nitrates over here and this part is balanced because there's no box in front of it, that must mean that this has got to be a 3. Okay, so if there's 3 KNO3s, that means on this side we'll have 3 NO3s. Okay, now if we've got 3 Ks here, then we must have 3 Ks over there, so that's a 3 in here. And then if we check the other things, just to double check, on the left hand side of the arrow we've got 3 OHs, and on the right hand side of the arrow we've got 3 OHs. Okay, so I think we can take that to mean that that equation is balanced.